Hey everyone, it's Justin here with Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us on yet another episode of our Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. We have just dropped episode 425, which is just amazing. We're grateful to have the demand to have people all across the world watching, listening wherever you're at. If you're at home, you're on the go. If you can just do us a big favor, give us thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share. That would greatly help us. I still have the same goal I've had for quite a while is wanting to help at least 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. And it's with guests like we have on our show today sharing her story and all the events that have taken place in her life, and then coming out on the other side and being able to talk about a book that is truly a an excellent children's book, as well as not only in English, but I believe it's also she's going to be able to share now being, I believe, in Spanish as well. So that's an awesome feat, and we are excited to have our guest. So we'll just get right to that. So joining us from Massachusetts is Kathy Picard. Thank you for joining us again on the show, Kathy.
Justin, thank you so much. It's an honor to be on your show and reaching out to your guests because, as we know, we need to talk about sexual abuse. It's very important to educate survivors to let them know it's not their fault and they need to be healthy and to talk about it. It's very important to talk about it with friends, family, counseling. It's very important to talk about it. And I unfortunately did not do that right away. And my advice is that's the best thing that you can do. And as you mentioned, writing a children's book, we need to keep our little ones as safe as possible. And writing a children's book was on my bucket list. I was never read a children's book as a young girl, so I wanted that was the purpose of writing a children's book and getting it out there. And as you mentioned, the children's book, I Love You So Much, that it's a life lesson book. It's I love you so much that I asked you to brush your teeth, the reasons of why. So you have a beautiful smile, not to talk to strangers, going to bed at a certain time. So it's very important to get those messages out to the little ones. And my dog is featured in the book, Abby. She unfortunately passed away in November, but she paw signs each and every book, and the kids find that really fascinating. And I did put it to reach out to the Spanish community, so it is in a bilingual. This one is interactive activity pages, so it has activity pages that you can do with that child because it's important spending that quality time with that child, and then the bilingual Spanish and in English. So it also has the activity pages in it. And yeah, we need to reach out to as many children, reading a book, having that quality time, teaching the child that you love them, you are there for them, they can trust you, and life lessons. It's really important to do so.
Yeah, it really is, and having a daughter that's growing up now, getting to the age where she's starting to understand a little bit more, it- as far as what the impact of being around certain people, what that may be. In fact, my daughter had a a wellness visit with her pediatric, I guess, family medicine doctor recently, and there were a couple of questions that kind of made me take a step back. And unfortunately, I my wife started a new job, and I wasn't able to be there for different reasons. So my mother-in-law took our daughter, and the questions that she was asking, it was like she's really starting to grow up, and it's like, oh my gosh, like
Mhm.
why is a doctor uh, asking questions and to see certain things
Yeah.
at the age of 7. And I know in your book, I love you so much that you really talk about those situations, and uh, when it's okay, and the individuals and professionals that are able to ask those questions and to be able to let that guard down. And I know that doctor is one of them. It just kind of caught us off guard at like nobody
Mhm.
let us know at like 7 that that was going to be a question. Now we're much more prepared for that going in, but it just, as we think about she's obviously not going through puberty at the age of 7,
Yeah.
but a question or two kind of what was asking, and luckily the doctor was okay with the answer no of
Mhm.
not right now, and so to just share that people uh, some people are it's okay, and then others, which is vastly more more
Mhm.
if we were looking at a pie and we have like 100 pieces of a pizza pie, and maybe two or three of those would be people that we would be okay
Yeah.
asking the questions and that, and the rest of them, absolutely not. Whether it's a friend's mother, father, an extended family member, and you go into great detail in sharing that. How did that come about when you were thinking about the book process and how you wanted to talk about that area? Because I know you've gotten some pushback, which we all get,
Yeah.
about
Yep.
certain areas, and that's one of those areas where it's like, oh my gosh, Kathy, you put this in the book, like the book, except for that 1 page or 2 pages. And it's like these things do need to be talked about
Yeah.
because bad things do happen.
Yeah, yeah, they do, and it's so important, this particular page. I'm going to read it.
Please
Um,
do.
I love you and I want you to be safe so much that I want you to keep your private parts private. I'm saying private parts. Why? Because private means we don't show or share them with other people. Is there a time when it's okay for someone to see your private parts? And on that page is a doctor, and that's what I'm trying to get that child to come to the point where, yeah, it's okay, mom, dad, a doctor, with permission. That let that child ask, is it okay for the doctor? As we know, there are doctors that are not safe. There are professional people that are not safe, but it's letting that child know that ask permission. Ask your mom, ask your dad, is it okay for this person to see my private parts? And you're absolutely right, Justin. There are some schools that have approached me and said, Kathy, if you take those 2 pages out of the book, we'll allow you to come in. No, I'm not taking those 2 pages out. Those are important pages. And the book is for 2 to 9-year-olds. Um, Letting that child know that that's your special parts. That is your private parts. I am not saying vagina or penis. I'm saying private parts. What is wrong with that? And there are children, they're learning it from their peers, they're learning it from their friends. So if you give them the answers that they need and to know that no, say the words no, it's not okay, and teaching kids that if Uncle Johnny wants to give you a hug, he's an adult. You should accept that hug. if Uncle Johnny is touching you in your private places, no, you're not going to let Uncle Johnny give you a kiss or give you a hug or sit on his lap. So teaching that child it's okay to say no to adults that are not keeping you safe. And that's very important, especially for the parents, the grandparents, the aunts and uncles that are letting that child do the sleepovers. I am
Mm.
totally against sleepovers, but in that family may be a trusted family. They might be perfectly safe, but who's walking in the door? What neighbor, what relative, what teenage child is walking in that door that you don't know of that is not safe and that is touching those little girls, touching those little boys in inappropriate places?
That's so true, and I'm thinking about our I guess my personal experience with her daughter and friends, peers at school. That's absolutely the case. There's been a number of occasions, birthday parties,
Yeah,
etc., where different things have come up. Not these specific about private parts, but certain topics. It's like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
and so I know I'm gonna get I'll say hate mail for saying this, but. So Taylor Swift, a lot of people know her, and very successful. The Eras Tour, very successful career. Growing up, the music that she was putting out was very, I'd say, wholesome, and I actually enjoyed her music. And as of late, with some of her albums, she's started to incorporate alcohol and the outfits she wears during different performances. And I know it's come up at least a couple times on our show where uh, people are like, "I thought you like her music," and I said, I do. I I do like her music, but." There comes a point where a person can change. And
mhm,
whether that's, selling out to sell more records or more concert tickets or what that may be, that I can still like a person's music, but I don't have to like what the person is doing at the current time and outfits and when they're talking about being drunk at the bar during the one song that was playing and among others uh and that song among others was being played at a 6 and 7 year old birthday party
mm,
and I know it's like a little thing where it's like, okay, big deal. And it's like, well, but the more they hear that, the more they say it, and they might not know, because sometimes we'll ask our daughter, do you know what that means? Like slay, girl, slay. Like, do you like I don't really even know what that means.
yeah,
And so it seeing a 7 year old's growth into finding things out or learning from a peer at school that may have an older brother or sister
yep,
or and my story with sobriety and that is like I'm not against anybody else drinking alcohol, consuming alcohol. Just for me, like that's just where it led me with my mental health and mental illnesses. That's where, luckily, 8 years I've been sober. So I think
right,
about, as you mentioned, like the sleepovers where there are certain parents where they show up to their daughters dance class and they're drinking a mixed drink in their Yeti or whatever they're and it's like, oh my gosh, you have to be drinking, you have to be doing this. So to your point about sleepovers,
yeah,
when that person and those parents ask and say, is it okay to
hmm,
have your daughter stay over? Um, there's the daughter is perfectly fine. But again, with the parents, like and then who else is coming through the door? If
Right.
are they're having like a little get together with the neighbors, and
Yeah.
are the children
And
being watched?
yeah, and that's why, like, if that child is in danger, one of the tips that I have for parents is giving that child a password. So the child can call you and say, I'm in trouble, but they may not be able to say those particular words because the person's right next to them. So say, Mom, I love my red dress, or Mom, the blue card, like, and change those passwords. But coming up with a password that doesn't mean come and get me, I'm in trouble. I think that is very important for that child to feel that safety. Like, I can call my mom or daddy and they can get me out of this trouble. And I'm not going to get heard by the person that is abusing me. So I think that's very important as well.
Absolutely. So for our viewers and listeners that aren't familiar with your books and your unfortunate events growing up, can you just give maybe like a high level of that, and then what made you want to share that in book form?
Sure. So, Justin, as you talked about your daughter being 7, um, un unfortunately, it's an odd number, but that is when my abuse took place. So, Life with My Idiot Family is my memoir. Life with My Idiot Family. It's a true story of survival, courage, and justice over childhood sexual abuse. Is my story. I was sexually abused from 7 to 17, 10 years. And people will say, oh my God, 10 years. But like I tell people, once is too much. So a person may say, well, it only happened once. I can just forget about it. But that one time will affect your life. It's too much because that will never go away. You need to get that help. You need to be safe. You need to worry about, are you drinking too much? Are you doing drugs? Are you not eating right? Are you, I had to recently tell this woman, somebody had told me, Kathy, put on your big girl pants and
Mm.
go forward, move on, but be safe because those memories, those thoughts, those feelings, those actions, the words, they don't go away. And most survivors will try to bury it, but it pops up and it does. And I'm glad my husband and I've been together with Gary for 31 years, and he is my soulmate. Gary and I wrote that book. It took us 5 years to write it. And we could have wrote quick, quick, quick and something simple, but we wanted to go into detail. We wanted to start when I was a young girl, what I experienced, what I went through, all the way through my teenage years, working like a dog, working 3 jobs to try to forget about it. And then my experience with counseling, and even having one counselor say, Kathy, you need to forget about it and go on with your life. Like, what counselor tells me that?
Right.
So, having counseling experience, it did help me. And then going on to be the advocate that I am today, 25 years going out and speaking at correctional facilities. And people will say, oh my God, you go in and talk to sex offenders. And it's like, yes, because they need to know what a survivor goes through. And talking to men and women and going out to hospitals and colleges. I've zoomed as far as Serbia, reaching out to these people. And as a survivor, whether I speak to one or whether I speak to 900, I know that will carry on. It will go on to more people because that one person in the audience may know of somebody and share it that, this girl did this, and reach out to me. Like, my door is open. People can email me, call me. I like to help people because that help wasn't there for me as a young girl, as a teenager, in my early adult years. And I'm very blessed. I have found the right roads to go down and to continue walking. So I do hope, that my book, this is me as a 5-year-old flower girl before the abuse took place. And writing that book, like I said, it was a healing for me. And it's also in Audible. You get to hear my voice again. It took 9 hours and 10 minutes to read this book. If you ever do an Audible, it's hard. I would leave words out. I would add words. We had to redo it. And but I'm glad over 1,000 people have heard my story. It's also in Kindle as well. My husband did write a screenplay. We may tweak it, and someday it could be on the big screen. You don't know. Um, we hope, it's a life story, and there are a lot of people that have been sexually abused. From what I'm hearing, the cases of sexual abuse are more than cancer. And
Oh,
I don't know the exact figures because from what I hear, 1 in every 4 girls before their 18th birthday, 1 in every 6 boys before their 18th birthday, but that's just reported. So as we know, there are so many people that don't say anything and they never do. They live their whole life and they never had that opportunity to talk about it because they didn't want to destroy the family. But in fact, you deserve your friends as a family or the family members that matter. And that was one thing that I learned. I wanted to be a part of this big Italian family. So I shut my mouth and I did as I was told. But the best thing I did was to leave these unhealthy, inconsiderate people that do not belong in my life. And that's the best advice is less is best. Find the good people, find the people that you choose to be a part of your life because you deserve it.
absolutely. And you have also been a law changer and recently, well, I guess recently is last year with the Take It Down Act. And I believe we'll touch base afterwards. Uh, if I haven't gotten you in contact with Elliston and her mom, Miss Anna, who had the unfortunate situation of having innocent Instagram photos put through an AI program, turned them into nudes. She showed up to high school, everybody's whispering and talking, and it went from a mom that could have just sat by passively to calling every congressperson, every senator, and luckily Senator Ted Cruz picked up that legislation,
Good.
is a daughter that's older and younger than Elston. He took it to DC and both sides, the Senate and House Representatives, they signed that or they voted for it, and then President Trump signed it last May, and it's not easy because you,
Mm-mm.
as you mentioned, you really have a decision to make when you if you go through a situation to just sit back and just say, all right, what am I, little me, what am I gonna do?
Mhm.
How am I gonna change the situation to go, you know what? I- I'm gonna do something about it. And your
Mhm.
story, for me, kind of mirrors their story because
Yep.
you didn't stand idly or sit idly, that you called and called and called and
Mhm.
called. And so the stories from that perspective literally just mirror each other. Can you just talk about that? Just having that tenacity to
Mhm.
call and not take no for an answer and to keep calling and how important that is. And if somebody's
Sure.
gone through a situation like this and is getting no feedback from, their representatives and
Yeah.
you have great tenacity when it comes to that as well.
Thank you. So what had happened, Justin, is you go through a phase, most survivors do, where I realized what my stepfather had done to me for those past 10 years. And I did go through an angry stage where, okay, I realized what he did. He needs to be punished. What can I do? And I remember calling the Boston State House and talking to reps, talking to senators, the House Speaker, whoever I could, the aides. and calling, I would email, I would go there, and I wanted to do something. And there's a number you could call, and it still comes out every October during Domestic Violence Month. It's 1-800 Dial a Lawyer. And I called this number and I told them the story. I was sexually abused and I wanted to do something to have my stepfather punished for his actions. And they said, Kathy, I'm sorry, the statute of limitations, the time frame for what he did to you has run out. There's nothing you can do. And this is coming from an attorney. And I'm like, he doesn't know his job. I go, what is he talking about? So he said, there's nothing you can do. So I, in fact, hung up, called back the same number and told my story again. And they said the same thing. So I said, well, I guess he does know what he's talking about. So I said, the laws have got to change. We need to extend the time frame for survivors to give them the justice that they deserve to be able to go through a trial. And it took a while. It took a long time. 2014 is when the law changed. So statute of limitations, there's two. There's criminal, where they would have to register as a sex offender and do jail time. So I was pushing to get this changed. Finally, September 21st, 2006, the law did change in Massachusetts. It went from the age of 31, giving a survivor, to the age of 43 years old to go forward to get justice. I was too old. I could not get him on criminal charges. Therefore, he didn't have to do no jail time. He did not have to register as a sex offender.
Hmm.
So I said, what else can I do? Kathy, there's got to be something else you can do. So then I found out statute of limitations for civil. Civil is monetary. However, he doesn't have to register as a sex offender. That needs to change because he does need to register so that other people do not get hurt. The civil did change. It changed June 26, 2014. And that was a huge jump. It changed, giving a survivor, instead of the age of 21 to go forward, and here as it stands in Massachusetts now, a survivor has until the age of 53, not
Mm.
21, 53 years old. And I was 53, ironically. So I was the first in Mass to go forward for a 4-day trial in federal court. It was in federal because my perpetrator lived out of state. So I
Okay.
did have my 4-day jury trial, and I talk all about it in the book. I talk about the deposition that he had to go through. It's very detailed, and dragging him. So the law changed in 2014. November 2nd, 2015 was my first day in federal court.
Mm.
4-day jury trial, very, very nervous. Put myself, again, self-help, put myself on Lexapro to calm me down because you need to help yourself. Um, and it was a tough 4 days being up on the stand, not one day, but going back up on the stand the second day.
Yeah.
And it was tough. I brought the picture of me as a little flower girl because I needed that help. Brought the picture of my Aunt Judy, who passed away in 2000, brought her picture for that support that I needed from my angel above. And I did it.
Wow. That's incredible. And
I still tear up.
yeah, it's just remarkable. You stuck with it, and that's one thing. Some people, they don't understand the, oh, well, it happened at this day and this time, these things. Why didn't you do anything
Yeah.
then? Well, the way everybody's different. Some
Yeah.
people are able to do that, and
Yeah.
others aren't. And it doesn't make them any less of a
Nope.
human being. It just, we all operate a little bit differently. Even with my mental health crash, I was 37 years old, and some people say, well, why did it take that long for,
Mhm.
this, that happened to get diagnosed? Then you can't have low spectrum autism at age 37. You should have been diagnosed when you were a kid. I said, well, in the 80s, that wasn't really, 80s and 90s wasn't really something the doctors really looked at. And
Right.
through one of the guests that we had, on who has a I'd say sibling, but a son and daughter, and they have autism, went through all the diagnoses, and it was interesting because that was one of the questions I asked her. I said, "Okay, I'm getting pushback on this. I'm just asking, just as a human being, is it
Yep.
possible to be diagnosed with autism wherever on the spectrum, whether it's severe or whether it is less severe?" And she says, "Oh no, absolutely. You can be diagnosed anytime." And she agreed that, back in the 80s and 90s, that was something that wasn't top of mind for physicians. And so that was just a little bit of validation of like, okay, that I wasn't I, it was just a question that was in my head that wasn't answered, and to
Mhm.
finally get an answer says yes, you can absolutely be diagnosed later. And one thing I didn't know that came out of it was that there is a proportion of individuals who have been diagnosed with autism who actually lose their diagnosis. So
Wow.
somehow, some way, they heal and they don't have that diagnosis. And so those were like two things. The one of that I wanted to know for me, but then oh yeah, that there's a percentage, and I believe it was around 30% or so. So it was a
Wow.
decent amount that, if just using autism as an example, that if your son, your daughter, whether it's autism or something else, keep going back
Yep.
to your doctor and keep getting evaluated, because
Yeah.
the things you may be doing may be helping that. And so, as you mentioned, to go on the stand for,
Yep.
oh my, I can only just imagine. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, if you need medication, if you need therapy,
Hmm.
both things that I do regular basis, that like that's quite okay. And
Yeah.
it makes you stronger by doing that.
Yeah, it does, to get that help that you need. And as far as like your health conditions and all that, you have to be your own advocate. And
Yeah.
if you got to get a second opinion, the year I was going through the trial, I was feeling dizzy and I went to my doctor and they're like, "Oh, you have vertigo."
There you
And I'm
go.
like, "I get vertigo once a year." I go, "Something is different." And so my doctor said vertigo, and I'm like, no. So I did. I got a second opinion, and I had a brain tumor. Go figure. I'm like, so if you're feeling dizzy and all that, I highly recommend getting an MRI because I had a tumor the size of a golf ball. And I wasn't ready to get it out yet because I was going through my trial. But right after my trial, I did. I had it removed. I have a dented head. Well, this way. But I have a dented head because that's where they cut me here to here, and they
Um,
took it out, and it was benign. But I'm fortunate, to have that. So get a second opinion, and don't listen to people that, when I was calling the lawmakers at the Boston State House, I was calling because I had a mission. I had something that needed to be done. These laws, there are over 6,000 bills at the Boston State House. You need to be that squeaky wheel to say, we need a change. And I guess I was pissing one person off particularly. He's like, "Kathy, you need to stop calling, stop emailing because you're bothering me." And I'm
mm,
like, "I'm a taxpayer. You need to do your job."
yeah.
So he's no longer there now, but it's like, wow, like some of the advice that you get, don't take that all, with a grain of salt. Just like move on, get that help that you need. And if you really and truly believe in something, make a difference. Use your voice, and be loud about it. I was always a shy, quiet child, and I self-blamed. It's like,
Yeah.
why didn't I tell sooner about the abuse that I endured. Why am I talking about it now? And I kept thinking, did I like it? Like, it's my fault because I didn't talk about it sooner. No, when you're a little girl and somebody is touching you inappropriately and they're threatening you with a gun, if you tell I'm going to shoot you, yeah, you do keep quiet. You do. And unless that person has walked in your shoes for anything, not just sexual abuse, but anything, if they don't have anything good to say, they should not say anything. Do not judge a person unless you've walked in that shoes. And some people just will go on. Some people will say I'm lying, family members. And I'm like, how do people say that? Like Kathy's looking for attention.
Right.
Really? Why would I look for attention? Sexual abuse is very embarrassing. It's a dirty topic. And I choose to talk about it to help myself, but also to help others to get to the point where I am at.
That is so true, and I agree wholeheartedly. If somebody hasn't walked in your shoes, take listen, let them say their piece. But when it comes down to the actual like listening and having action, it should come from individuals who have been through uh have I think your husband's
Yeah, he's in the background. Gary's in the background.
He's so Obama. That was so cool. Hi,
Hi,
nice to
sorry
meet
to
you.
interrupt.
Oh, downstairs, honey.
Whereabouts?
Downstairs on the Hope Chest.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, hello, Gary. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I find that as well with when people like you said, oh, Kathy's just looking for attention. It's like if you're looking for attention, there's probably less taboo type of things that you'd talk about. That's like some of the one specific guest we had on went through human trafficking,
Yep.
and it's like I don't think like somebody's going to talk about, the 200 men and all these things to get
Mm-mm.
attention. That's just doesn't seem like that doesn't fit for me.
No,
And so
no.
unless somebody's been there, and again, for you to have that tenacity to not give up and you're helping and have helped so many people with getting that legislation passed that I want to make sure that everybody knows where they can purchase your books at for if they how to reach out for book readings and all those things to let everybody know because we have people all over the world and I'd love for somebody in Australia or New Zealand or as far away to pick
And they
up
have.
and
They
yeah.
they have
And
because
they have. Oh,
well,
okay.
they have in Australia Kindle. You
Awesome.
can get it on Kindle, but all three, well, one, two, three, four of my books, because the
Yeah.
kids' book is in three versions.
Yeah.
But they can get them on Amazon. Just the best way to find my books is just type in Kathy, Kathy, Picard, Picard books, and all the books will come up. And they could always reach out to me. I do offer in bulk discount on the books. And Kathy Child Advocate at gmail.com. Justin, they can reach out to you for my
Yeah.
information is fine. I am on Facebook. I wish I was a little bit more savvy when it came to some of the things, TikTok and all that. At 63, you can still learn
That's
and but reaching out and I do check and see who's done reviews or where I can go. I've done book clubs, I've done Zooms, and really I'm asked to speak. Daycare centers is very important. I've done a lot of presentations for the staff members at daycare centers, letting them know what signs to look for in the children and sharing my story and giving them tips. So daycare centers has been another big reach out because we don't want these kids to go through what I endured. And a lot of parents, a lot of staff members will say, this child will tell me if something is wrong. They won't. They're threatened, they're afraid. Um, they're not going to. So that's why we need to offer prevention, teaching them the tips and what to do to keep them safer. One of the big thing is these little kids, they don't know the difference between a good secret and a bad secret. So for the little ones, and I tell parents, we don't do secrets in our family. A good secret has an ending to it, such as a birthday party, because it's going to happen where you're going to talk about it. There's more bad secrets than good secrets. So don't scare the child, and just say, we don't do secrets. And it's not a one and done conversation. We need to, just like my children's book, pick it up, read that book once a month to that child, because something new is going to happen in that child's life all the time. So it's not a one and done read. It's important to read to children. And I wish that that was done for me, because maybe I would have opened up. Maybe I would have told the school teacher. Maybe I would have told the neighbor. But the bottom line is, and this is sad and scary, I'll tell you two things.
Mhm.
My mother knew. My mother knew what was going on, and my mother did not stop it. Parents do know, and they don't stop it. The other thing is, people will say, well, my child is young, nothing's
Mm.
going on. The youngest I heard of a child being sexually abused, touched inappropriately, is a 2-month-old baby.
That's right.
And that is sad and pathetic, because there are so many prostitutes out there that they can go after them and leave these little kids alone. But that little baby does not have a voice. That little baby cannot tell. So to them, it's a game. So start as young as possible teaching these kids. Always come to me. I love you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to listen. You're not going to get in trouble. Teach that child you love them. You want to be there for them. It's important. I didn't get that love.
Well, Kathy, thank you so much for being with us for as long as you have on the show. We're always happy to have you on and talk about updates that are going on, and we always welcome you back. And I'm grateful that you sent me the message you did because I was hoping to have you on. It just hadn't made its way to a message yet. So when you put that, that's why I was like, yes, like let's do it.
Oh,
Like, let's get the date and let's figure out what works. And so it's always it's always nice that I mean uh, you've been with us from the beginning with the organization when we weren't an organization, when we were an event. You were one of the head speakers at that event, and you always hold a special place in my heart for what you have done, and it is just so empowering. And I know that you're going to that you've already helped a lot of people, but I have a feeling that you're going to help many, many more after this, because we've grown pretty decent with the numbers, with the downloads and the countries and dignitaries that we had no idea that it's like just stuff like you're like, no, they're just lying. They're not really watching. And uh but yeah, we had and so to kind of close that out with the take it down law and how your process of, kind of never letting go until something is done is that we were actually able to go to DC and interview Senator Ted Cruz and tell him, thank you personally, uh, and we presented him one of our annual awards, and it was just a down to earth conversation, and it it was just you don't know what to think when you meet a politician. I think that I mean, he took his time. I gave him my mental health book, and he was paging through it. Gave him one of the books that the human trafficking survivor had been through, and he got pictures and posted it on. He got 5 million. It was just, it was just incredibly nice. He could have just said no. It took 9 months
Yeah,
to make it happen, but like as you know, that persistence uh carries on,
yeah,
and it's all like you said, it's all about sharing your voice and
yeah.
letting people know that could
Sharing and caring. And the answer is no if you don't ask. If you ask, you got a 50-50 chance.
you got a 50/50
And
chance.
Justin, you are helping so many people. And I
Mhm.
applaud you. I appreciate you. You're giving people the opportunity to use their voice and to carry that voice in the heart of so many other people. You're gonna make me
Um,
cry.
oh, thank
But
you. Oh my
no,
gosh.
but thank you. Thank you for all what you do. And it's a lot of, sometimes people don't want to do the work, and there's a lot of work behind it. We know.
Yeah.
We know how much money we've put out, how much time we've put out. And I know for me, and I know it's the same for you, we would never take it back.
Oh no. No.
We're in it for the long haul. And until I'm 6 feet under, I'm going to continue on. And, it's a legacy to leave behind that we know we have helped other people, and people just, they need to be kind. They need to help. They need to volunteer. And, it's not all about money.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I invite all our viewers or listeners to head on over to the Amazon, whichever one is in their country. Ours is .com, and each country has a different, I think, ending, like AU for
Yep.
Australia, et cetera, et cetera,
UK. Yep.
or the UK. And
Yep.
eh, so we invite all our viewers, listeners to not only grab a copy of all of Kathy's books, but let 25 year friends, your friends, your family know about your school, your colleagues. These are important topics, and again, I'm just grateful to have had Kathy on several times, and we will have her on several more times.
Yep. I'd
So
be honored. Thank you so much, my friend.
you're welcome. I want to thank you, our viewers, our listeners. Thank you. Let's take the 100 countries we've reached, and let's make that 300, and let's take those 1,000 cities across the world, and let's make that 3,000. I know we can do it. We can do it with your help. Thank you for watching and listening, and thank you to Kathy Picard. Please check her books out on Amazon.com in the United States, or your local country that you may be tuning in from. So until next time, please be a voice for you or somebody in need. Bye bye.
Bye bye.